when it came to John, is how to build a successful team, really how to lead a successful team, is a subject that everybody really has been wanting to know more about. I get questioned often about it. And I want to say that of all the teams we have, and there's no criticism to anybody at all, but John over time has had the most successful team, and he has helped his gang achieve their financial goals, and that's what it's about. It's not about the team individually, the team leader making the most money necessarily, but it is about everybody succeeding at whatever it is their personal goals are. And John has helped to change the financial legacy, like Heather has for herself. John has helped change the financial legacy for those members of his team. So congratulations, John. Way to go on doing that. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right.
It's fun.
Well, I'm honored to have the opportunity to talk to John and to have you all here to join in with us. I have some things that I'm going to ask him, but I hope if you have some questions, you'll make a note, and we'll try to get time for sure for you to ask those questions as well. Just a little background on John. As a kid, he was growing up in Grand Forks, North Dakota, way up there where it's way too cold, in my opinion, but thank goodness I didn't start
That's
there.
why we're here.
That's why we're here. That makes sense. And as a kid, John told me that he always wanted to play football. He wanted to be on the football team. And he fulfilled that dream by probably, junior high, high school? Definitely in college. He
Yep.
played as a linebacker. So obviously, are you beginning to see there was a trend? He wanted to be part of a team. And he's carried that through today to have an extremely successful real estate team, as we're going to find out more in a moment. They've closed over 66 deals so far this year. And I thought it would be good to have John introduce you to the members of his team and tell a little about what they do. So I'm going to let you start with that, all right?
All right, I'll be happy to do that. And listening in on some of the things that you folks are doing, is like, holy moly. It's really impressive. I mean, to see the numbers. I think when we started, Jeff, in that other building for the team meetings, there's probably could have fit over here. Anybody have a new listing? About 2 hands would go up. And, but it's obviously grown. I mean, to hear some of these numbers, and Heather, to see what you're doing is cool. And Don Burt, I look at these transactions like, holy Moses. What a cool thing, right? But we're here to talk about me, so let's have some fun with that. Right? And teams in particular. Let me just tell you a little bit about At the Beach team and who's involved. I got listing agent John Skinner, who for most of you is probably a ghost. He works in Panama City. I have listing agent Gil Erickson, who for most of you is probably a ghost. He works over there. I have a listing agent, buyer's agent transitioning to a listing agent, Courtney Moore. Team admin, Katie Hofstetter. And I got a closing coordinator, Renee Pellegrino. I've got a second admin, which is my wife, Chris, who does a little bit of everything. I've got a third administrator, Josh Callahan, who does a little bit of everything. And then there's me. That is our team.
Super.
And just give you some sense, I looked, we're not doing your numbers, but we're doing okay. So far, we have 73 closed or pending for about 28 million, thereabouts.
Fantastic. That sounds good. So tell me how long have you been a realtor?
I've been in real estate since probably 2005, 2004,
And what
thereabouts.
were you doing before that?
I had a architectural signage company where I sold signs to hotel properties primarily. So I traveled all over the country going to these hotel properties. And my wife, Chris, was a buyer's agent in the go-go times, right, when it was really going pretty well. And so she wasn't going anywhere, and she was making an awful lot of money. And I thought, well, heck, I got this backwards. So,
What's wrong here?
So I got into real estate, and it's worked out quite well for me.
All right. And so you got into real estate in 2005. At what point did you get up one morning, or how did it transition that you decided, I need a team, I need to do something different?
Well, for me, it was pretty easy because I really don't like very many things. in terms of the business. Like, I'm not real good at paperwork, terrible. I don't want to work with buyers. I don't want to work with people I don't know, riding around in the car with them and trying to make up conversation. That's not my thing. I don't like a lot of this stuff, the marketing stuff, all that stuff, right? So if I don't like doing it, I got to find somebody else who's likes to do that stuff, right? So that's what I did. So I can focus what I like to do. I'm kind of weird. I like to sit with a headset on talking to people about selling their real estate.
And so was that risky when you initially made that transition because you had a wife
No.
and family? Was that scary?
Now, it's pretty easy for me. When I got into real estate, my wife was a buyer's agent. She was doing fine. I hired a coach day one. I had 0 days in real estate without a coach, all right? So I did what they said, and I ended up getting, I don't know where I was, maybe 45 listings, I think, thereabouts. So it started to get a little dicey. And so Chris left her job and helped me out with mine, and then we hired Amy Berry to help out with that, and started growing from there.
Kept rolling. You mentioned something there that when we talked earlier, you sound like you feel like it's really important to have a coach. Do you
Yeah.
still have a coach, and what's your
Still have a
thought
coach.
process?
I think everybody should have a coach.
Why?
Well, because everybody needs somebody to tell them what to do, right? Where to go, how to react, how to deal with certain things.
You don't get enough of that from your wife?
I get plenty. But I'll give you an example. Let me give you an example of how cool this works out. I've got a client, we have their house listed. Turns out they have a pedophile renting their house. All right? Which is a problem. And he's renting it. And it turns out he's got an ankle brace now, or a bracelet or whatever, right? He's going through the process. So we got to take it off the market. Right? And I tell my coach, I lost a listing this week, we got to take it off the market, pedophile living in the house, whatever, right? And he's like, well, I don't know if you lost that one, you might not wanted it. However, here's what you want to do, right? Because we're done at that point, right? Except we're not. He says you might want to, or not might, you want to contact this person, the seller, and say, hey, you got to be careful here. Because you have a pedophile living in the house, they'll probably register your address as their location, and now your address is a known pedophile house. That's going to be hard to sell, right? So fortunately, we're doing that in there, because once it's on there, it's really, there's some steps.
Complicated.
So that's something I didn't think about. In my coach, apparently he does this every other day, there's pedophiles running around, I don't know, but to him,
It
it's just
wasn't
like,
his
oh,
first
well,
pedophile.
here's what you got to do. Of course it is. So now I got a very happy client that's going to list hopefully again in November, and we'll be fine. But just little things like that. So a coach will help you with that,
Right.
along with accountability and whatnot.
How did you find a coach that was
Well-
experienced in this area?
What I did some research, who's the best real estate coaches out there, and et cetera and so forth, and signed up. And in my case, it was the Mike Ferry organization. And I get a new coach every 2 years. So, yeah. And they're all quite good,
Yeah.
amazingly good.
And I think the whole idea of the coaching thing, people are scared when they find this coach, the Mike Ferry person, whoever it happens to be that they hook up with,
Yeah.
and they find out what it's gonna cost. It's like, you want me to pay X a month
Yeah.
for this? So how do you get past that?
You sell stuff, right? It doesn't matter. It's never impacted one bit for me. And I pay $1,000 a month, $1,000, right?
Yeah,
So it's it's like rent.
it's essential, it sounds like to you.
Yeah.
So, in your philosophy, obviously, you're sold on teams. You've been a part of teams since you were, what, 5? It sounds like
Yep.
maybe it was a football
Yep.
team, but now it's
More or
a
less,
real
yeah.
estate team. So, why should somebody have a team?
All right, so what a great thing. Let's think about this for a minute. Teams, right? Because they're hot right now. Everybody wants to be on a team, and I get it. But there's some issues, right? So let's take a look at it real quick, because I've been thinking a lot about this. Who should be on a team? Who should everybody be on a team? Maybe.
I was gonna say,
I
is
don't
it
know.
for everybody, or there's some people that just aren't team players?
I don't think everybody's a team player, and that's not a bad thing. But let's think about it. Like me, or I'll ask you, what do you like to do? I mean, Do you like to specialize in something? For me, I like to list property. I don't like to work with buyers, right? But I know buyers are a big part of it. I don't like to do the paperwork, but I understand paperwork's a big part of it, right? And so if you could be doing something every day that you actually enjoy doing, wouldn't that be cool?
It's no longer work.
Right? And think about it. And if you're doing something you like to do, are you gonna be better at it than the crap you don't like to do? So you just do, right?
Sure.
So you're probably gonna be better, right? Are you gonna be able to provide a higher level of service to folks doing what you like to do? Probably, right? And what happens to folks that provide good service? They get paid less or more? More every single time, right? So rather than sticking a sign in the ground, I'd rather be talking to somebody about selling their property, right? Now, how cool is this? So you're on a team perhaps, and your other folks on your team are doing things they love to do. And if they love to do the paperwork, how great is that, right? Somebody who's very good and an expert, a specialist at doing paperwork is now doing my paperwork, right? Somebody who loves telling those crazy jokes in the car as they're driving buyers around and they're lost or don't know a gate code and have to back out. I mean, what a nightmare, right? Some folks love that, and they're very good at asking the buyer questions. And so how great is it to have agents that love doing that on your team, admin people who love doing that on their team, so you can do what you love. So if you're like that, be on a team. Does that make sense?
But I'm sure people have this thought. If I've decided, I got up this morning and said, John, I really want to be on your team,
Right?
but am I gonna make as much money, or am I gonna have to be giving you a bunch of money? Is it gonna hurt me,
Okay.
impact me? So how do you deal with that?
Perfect, right? So think about that. Now you're looking at folks who maybe shouldn't be on a team, right? Because not everybody does. Some people like to be out front, right? Some people want to be the lead singer. They don't want to be the doo-woppers in the back, right? Fair enough. Some people want to be, all that, right? They don't want to, well, how about this? Are there people out there that can't let somebody else do something, right? Oh my God, I got to do it because they can't do it as good as I do type folks? They're out there. I've seen them. I talk to them all the time, right? Are there folks out there that when they get the green sheet and see it's not 100%, that it just bothers them just in their core? It's not because you didn't earn it or whatever. They just can't give their money to somebody else. That's out there too, right? But if you're the type of person that looks at the amount of money you give to the team or me or Jeff or whomever or whatever team you're on as an investment into helping you get more, well, then be on the team, right? Because there is cost involved. There's cost involved in everything. As I'd even argue, there's cost not being on a good team, right? Because you can probably make more as a good team. On a good team with good leadership and all that stuff, you should make more. Don't be on the darn team. Does that make sense?
Yep. So you sound very high on teams, obviously. In your opinion, is that kind of the future? Are teams going to be what everybody's going to wind up, or most everybody? Obviously, as you said, it won't work for everybody, but is that kind of the thing that's coming?
Definitely coming. Definitely coming. We see a lot more teams, and they come and they go. So be careful. If you're thinking about getting on a team, be careful.
And what am
Right.
I looking for to be careful?
All right, great question. Here's what you're looking for. Strong leadership, right? Is the team leader, do they know where they're going, how to get there, right?
And are they, it's my way or the highway people?
Well, maybe. Everybody's there's got to be some vision, right? If you're going to be on that team, there's got to be some vision. You got to agree with that vision. So there's that. But yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of teams. It seems to be a thing. But just be careful. Like I said, be careful, because there are people putting teams together for the wrong reasons, right? They're trying to maybe build stats. If you come to me and this, well, now we got a bigger stat, we have higher market share. Who cares, right? It's the bottom line. Are you making more money? Are you happier? Are you doing less to get more? That type of stuff is kind of where I come from. If you're just grouping together to say you have a bigger presence, you really don't have anything. And people see through that, and they'll find out soon enough. And they'll be bickering and fighting, and you didn't do this, and I get that, and it's going to be a disaster. So just look around and see, What is the vision of the team? What are they trying to get done, right? And then look at how they're gonna do it, right? Is it legitimate? Do they come together? Like, we have a meeting every week, right? Leah, you're quite familiar with our meetings. We're always looking in on her. Is she almost done? But we have our meeting every week because of
And
communication.
what do you do?
We go over our numbers, right? How many properties are under contract? How many are closed? What do we have coming in? What are the problems of the day that we're dealing with? All that, right? And we ask, admin, how you doing? We're having problems with this, whatever. Marketing, how we doing here? Well, we're having problems here, right? And the problems become opportunities, and, you know, the sales folks, how you do this. So it's a true team, right? We have listing people list, buyers buy, admin. Don't want a group of one-man bands, right? We want an orchestra. We want a massive noise.
Everybody plays their part.
Right.
So what's the hardest part for you or the worst part of being the team leader? Because that's a lot on your shoulders. What's the tough side of that?
Okay, so you're gonna be a team leader, right? Form a team and take it on. All right, here's the biggest issue. Your admin, number one. Gotta have a good admin, because without it, it's gonna be a disaster.
And what kind of person are you looking for when you're looking for a great admin person?
If I only knew, right? It would change my life. But you need a good admin, because everything runs through the admin. And I hear like Don Burt and some of these other people, these teams, and they want to grow these big teams and everything. And Jeff even mentioned to me, I talked to him a little bit, get ready for a shift, a downturn. To which I say, there's no shift. You either work a little harder or a little less, whatever. You'll be fine on the shift thing. But nevertheless.
That was one of my next
Right?
questions.
Right, but nevertheless.
There it was in a nutshell.
What I thought, you know, shift, schmift, whatever. What happens when your admin quits? Right, Paul, what happens? Do you run around and your head blows up like mine almost did?
You scream, oh shit.
You scream, right? Right? When we lost our admin who'd been with us for 6 years, we are carrying, I think, 72 listings and 18 pendings. Back to me. Oh, what are we doing on this? Oh, gosh. I don't know. Who is this person, right? I don't know these listings, right? I don't know. So then we have to run through all the hires and the fires and the missteps and all that. So if you're gonna have a team, get a good admin. Need some money, probably, right? But it's not just money, because we've had really, really good admin. And it wasn't about the money, all right, and they were good. You gotta make it a fulfilling type of place to work. It's gotta be fun, happy, whatever. You don't wanna walk in and have this negative thing, the world sucks, shift, oh, we're all gonna die. It's not like that, right?
It
You
sounds
can't.
like your shift was based around the admin
I don't
person.
know.
So what did you learn from that horrible experience?
Yeah, it was tough, right? But now I got good admin in place, and we're starting to roll again, right? We're starting to see our sales take off, and I'm getting ready to start hiring new sales folks again, and then you gotta go through the training process. So let's talk about that for a minute. You're gonna be a team leader, right? It's not about collecting all the money from all the sales all your people are gonna make, right? It doesn't go that way. What you get, everybody here have kids, or anybody have kids? Right? There's problems, right? They come in, they got problems, they want to Having a team is just adding to your kid base, right? Right? You get calls, oh my God, what do I say to this guy about this? You say this, right? But you go through it. But that's what you get, right? It's not just an extra paycheck at the end of the day or week, month, or whatever, right? What you do, but you gotta be prepared to do that. If you're the team leader, that's part of the job, right? I go running to Jeff Adamson, oh my God, he's gotta look at me and smile and give me his best answer, right? And the whole time I'm thinking, just get the hell out of here, would you just shut up and get out of here, right? I know that's what he's thinking, but I gotta go through it, because he's my guy,
Then
right?
you go call your coach.
Right, then I
and
call,
whine.
right? So you gotta be able to give that up, right? And you gotta spend time training them. If you're just gonna bring them on and go get them, Tiger, you're gonna get crap, right? You're gonna get nothing. And it's gonna even cost you more, because now you can't focus on yours, because you're focused on their problems. So take the time to train them so they can be successful. Take the time to support them so they can be successful. And always be working on bringing new things to them, or else they're gonna leave. Why wouldn't they, right? They're only gonna stay if it's worth it to stay for them. Does that make
Has to be a
sense?
win-win for both,
It's gotta be a
doesn't it?
win-win, or else they're gonna run,
Yeah,
right? And most of our people stay, right? We go through a lot of them too, but most of them stay, right? I think John Skinner's been with us for 7 years, right? And people ask, well, why doesn't he leave? And the easy answer is, he doesn't have to. He makes a lot of money, he's comfortable in the system, and it's worth it for him to stay.
it's a win for him.
Because if it wasn't, he would leave fast and furious. And I'm sure he gets approached all the time, right? Courtney, Gil, all these folks.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is be careful because your income will likely drop first as a team leader of a team. Because you take your eye off income producing stuff and you gotta become a trainer, a manager, a dad, a mom, all that crap. But if that's good for you, if you like that, if you're a teacher, right? Knock it out. I mean, I do pretty good with my team, you know?
You definitely do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't work that much, and,
Yeah, let's talk about that. What's a typical day like for you?
all right. I drop my son at school, and I'm here probably at 9 o'clock, plus or minus. And then I work a little bit, and then I'd like to go to lunch around 11, maybe 11:30, depending on things. Then I get back to the office, maybe 1:30, 2 o'clock. I like to work on things, and I go to my son's football practice right around 4:30. So if you think about it, I'm working a 5.5-hour day, maybe.
And specifically, so when you're on the clock, so to speak, when
Right.
you're working, what is your part of this whole thing? What are you doing?
Okay, so I come in the mornings, usually, right? If things are going as planned, which is almost never, but the goal is to come in,
On an ideal
Right.
day?
sit down, start my calls, bold, right? You guys do bold, right? That's typically what we do is bold. We come in the morning and we bold.
So you're calling expireds, withdrawn?
Expired, just listed, just
Yeah.
sold, withdrawn, canceled,
Whatever,
buy
yeah.
owner, whatever, the usual suspects, right? So we go through that exercise, and then in the afternoons, hopefully, we have listing appointments, negotiating contracts, all that kind of stuff. So we try to cram it in there, so you don't have to work nights or weekends, holidays, that type of stuff. So, and if you do it right, it's been my experience, is it works.
So
It
what do you
works.
tell somebody who calls you and the only time you can show them a $2 million house is Saturday and Sunday, and you don't want to work on Saturday and Sunday? How do you deal with
Here's the
that?
benefit of the team. You ready for this? You ready? I don't work with buyers. So you want to see that property? Cool. Talk to Courtney more. She'll help you out, right? And then Courtney works with them. right?
So you've assigned things
yeah.
and it goes back to
Yeah.
picking and choosing what you want to do.
Now, let's not be
And-
silly.
and
If it's a
Courtney's
$2 million
happy, right?
person, right? And they're waving some cash money around and they're ready to do it, it'd still probably go to Courtney. But if it was the listing side of it all, I would work on a Saturday.
work
I have worked
yeah.
on Saturdays or
Right.
Sundays.
Okay.
But generally speaking, that's not something I enjoy doing.
So what's your plan for this team you've created going forward? What do you see out in the future?
Now that we have our admin in place, and our admin being a few folks, now we can start growing again, right? We were doing pretty good there for a while, and then we took a step back, right? Which is kind of cool, because then you get to learn a few more things about your admin and your backside operation and whatever. But now we're right back. We're gonna start adding folks, probably 2 to cover the Destin area, and we'll start growing over into Navarre, Perdido Key, hopefully jump over to Gulf Shores, right? And then maybe go the other way into, I don't know, St. Augustine, Jacksonville, that type of thing.
So
Just keep going.
booming and growing. Sounds cool. I was gonna ask you, and you already touched on it. In your view, is the market changing? Are we,
Well, it probably is. Yes, I suppose is the answer. Always changing. But it depends. It depends, right? I know Gary talks a lot, right?
Right.
In the state of the whatever, right? And Gary's great. I kind of sound like I'm not into it that much, and I clearly am. I'm dialed in 100%. But Gary watches now the globe, right? And certainly if not the globe, the country. And I can tell you what happens in Des Moines, Iowa, does not impact what happens to us here. Or at least in my world. Maybe in Fort Walton Beach, Niceville, Crestview, whatever. In my tiny little resort world, right, we sell second, third, fourth homes, condos, that type of thing, to folks that a lot of times have never even been there, right? The change is, there. I don't know if there's been a change. There was a change, right? When the banks were giving money to anybody for anything, a lot of folks were buying, right?
Exactly.
That was a change. And then when a lot of those folks couldn't pay for it anymore, a lot of those folks were not buying,
Exactly.
right? And they were
foreclosing,
unwinding,
short
right? There were
sailing.
short sales and foreclosures.
Disappearing.
But now that's kind of leveled off, and you still have the investor folks. It's still good to buy property. It's still good to own property. It's still all that. So when Gary says there's a shift, there's probably a shift, right? Kansas City, look out. But for us, or for at least my little world of this, not so sure. And like I said before, shift, whatever, right? Whatever. If you're doing your job the way you should do your job, if you're doing bold or whatever, who cares, right? You know what the shift means? There's gonna be less realtors in your marketplace. Right? And then the
Yeah.
next shift's gonna be, go talk to Bryan Kiefer, he'll tell you about shift. He fills up a room this big every week with these new licensees.
We've just crossed the 3,000 mark.
3,000 people, 3,000 people. So, yeah, I mean, if you want to shift, put it in your head, you'll shift all you want. But you don't need to. I don't think you need to. We do the same thing every year, just
Exactly.
every year is the same number. What's cool though, the values go up.
Exactly.
So you
They
make more doing
change.
the same thing
They
sometimes.
change.
Yeah, that's a-
I promised you the opportunity, if you had questions to ask John, that you would be able to do that. So it's your turn. Get him. No, I'm teasing.
By the way, Gail,
There's Gail. Uh-oh, look out.
Because I gotta go. If you were starting a team today, what would be the first thing you would do in the first 60, 90 days for your first hires, or how would you plan that out? for
or
somebody who
I would
wants
hire
to-
an admin. Try it on. Make sure it fits. Because here's the deal, once you get the right admin, in this particular, for Gary, it's probably Mo Anderson, right? Once you get the right person there, you can start running a lot of stuff through, right? A lot of stuff. You get the wrong admin, one listing, it's gonna be a
You're
disaster,
in trouble.
right? It's a nightmare. Because I like to be hands-off, right? I'm not somebody who is afraid to delegate. I'm afraid not to delegate because I'm pretty not good at a lot of stuff. So I like to have people who are good at that stuff. So if I was starting a team today, I would find an admin and good luck, right? And then I'd pay them. I'm paying Desiree Adams, if you don't know her, she was my admin for a long time. Her son just graduated, Niceville High, right, last year, or when did he graduate, in the spring?
Yeah.
So he graduated in the spring, he came on, and it was unbelievable. He was a part-time helper for us. And then the poor guy had to go to college. And, right?
Messed your whole world up,
But
right?
but I recognize his talent, and damn it, I'm gonna pay him. So he's still on our payroll, he's going to school, and he's working for us as he can. And for me, it's a good investment.
'Cause you see
Because he's gonna
future with him.
graduate at some point and come back here, and he's quite talented. But I would find an admin, go find them, and if they suck, get rid of them, right? But be prepared. If you're gonna start a team, let's talk about this. This is a good question. Make damn sure you know what you want, right? What do you want? What are you gonna hire this person? What are they gonna do? When they show up Monday at 9 o'clock, what are they gonna do? And it seems so easy. Oh, they're just gonna do their job. Cool. What's their job? Ugh, right? So I don't know. I would figure it out. What do you like doing? And then all the other stuff. Do you like paperwork? No, not so much. Well, get them in a .loop class, right? I know nothing about that stuff. Paula, do I know anything about that? I tell people all the time, the only reason why I know the green sheet is green is because it's called a green sheet. I don't even know, is it green? Whatever. I don't know.
That's why you have a
I
good
don't know.
administrative person.
And people tell me all the time, well, you gotta know this stuff, right? For when this stuff goes, when your admin goes south, you gotta know this stuff. I'm like, time out, you don't gotta know this stuff, right? If I own a restaurant, I don't know how to cook, I don't have to know how to make an omelet. I gotta know how to get the people in the place that'll pay the bill. You need to know how to make the damn omelet, right? So, to answer your question, I would find an admin, and before that, I would make sure I had a good idea of what the heck it is that they're gonna do on Monday. Because they're gonna come knocking, it's 9:06, and I'm not sure what to do. Oh, right, and then you're gonna spend the next month. So, but, and no, it's gonna be hard. When I first got into coaching, I think I told you this. It works like this, your coach is gonna call you Monday at 3:30. Cool. Monday at 3:30, the phone rings, you say, hello. And the guy's name was Vic Pettiville, all right? He lived in South Florida. He says, I'm Vic Pettiville, I'm gonna be your coach. There you go, good for you. And he said, I need to ask you a question first. I'm like, bring it on, what do you got, right? And he says, how much money do you have? The hell, you want a loan? I mean, what are we doing here, right? And he said, no, the reason why is it's gonna be harder than you think, it's gonna take longer than you think, and it's gonna cost more than you think. So I wanna know if you have money so you can pay me. And I was like, well, you know, yeah, we'll be fine. And that's the same thing, if you're gonna hire a team, all right, you're gonna take a dip. You just are, unless you're lucky, and luck doesn't last. If you're counting on luck, good luck, right? Because it doesn't last. You're gonna have to take your eye off income generating and put it over here on cost, right? That's your admin, that's your paper, stamps, phones, desks, rent, blah, right? But if you do it right, you get the right person, it kicks around really fast, and then it gets very rewarding. So does that answer it?
Other questions?
What
Judy?
was one thing that you did as your team was small and wanted it to grow that was scalable? So if you're.
Everything.
You could double and triple as the years go on.
Everything, literally, everything is scalable, right? Gail, you're on it. It's the same thing for everyone. It's the same thing. Just listed calls, just sold calls, expired calls, whatever, they're the same damn thing, right? The green sheet's the same for everybody. The dot loop thing's the same for everybody, right? Everything. You do it, if it's not scalable, you got yourself a problem, right? Make sure that the Big Mac in Destin is the same as the Big Mac in, I don't know, LA, right? And if you got that, heck, you're fine. Look at all these Keller Williams offices popping up all over the place. It's the same thing. The same reports are coming out of every market center. Is that right? Absolutely. So everything is. And if it's not, you're going to have a problem. But let's talk about this real quick, too. Different teams. Like, I got a team that I want to grow up into a big whatever. And especially when I was younger, right? We're going to look out. Right? I'm going to make Gary Keller look like a loser. Right? Right? Except you get a little older, you get married, kids, all that stuff comes up, and all of a sudden, let Gary have the headache, right? And then as you get a little bit older, your kids are going, now I'm at the point where, you know what, my kids are now starting high school. How cool is this going to be? What happens 6 years from now when they're done with high school and college and running around doing whatever the heck you do when you get done with high school and college? They're going to look for a job. And then I can bring them in here, and hopefully they can take it and go. She asked, I'd like to have title company. I'd like to have property management. I'd like to have all that stuff. I'd like to have a marketing department. I'd like all that stuff in-house, right? So maybe it can be their dream. And if it's not, I'll find somebody whose dream it is, right? And let them jump on board. Because not everybody needs to be a team leader, right? There's all kinds of, I got to be a team leader. Maybe, but if you're not a good leader, and that's what I've seen most of the teams around here when they fail, is because the leader was bad. Not intentionally bad, like, I want you to
Right.
screw up this.
Wasn't their forte.
It's just not their thing,
Right.
right? Not everybody. I heard a guy talk, and they were talking about visions. Maybe Simon Sinek, I don't know, whoever. They're talking about vision, that's, I gotta go up on a hill and have a vision, I'm gonna smoke pot or whatever, right? And I gotta have this vision that's gonna take me the rest of my life. That's not true. You know, not everybody needs a vision, right? If you agree with their vision, look at not Gary Keller, Steve Jobs, those guys had strong visions. But Mo Anderson and all those folks that followed along on Apple, they did just fine, right? Find somebody you believe in, you understand and agree with what they're trying to do, jump on board. How great is that, right? And then you have all these folks that are experts in their part of the business, so you can be an expert in yours. You can work 35 hours a week and make an awful lot of money. That's
Let's see
fun.
what, Judy had a question.
I just wondered how you did your splits with your team members.
That's a good question, and I'm gonna tell you this. I work it out with them on an individual basis, right? Splits is a kind of a esoteric thing that I prefer not to give out, right? But I like to think they're fair for everyone. And see, here's what I tell you about that, right? Splits, 'cause let's talk about, this is really smart, really good question, right? Because it always comes down to money, always about the money. How much am I gonna get, right? And really, if you're smart, and you guys are all smart because you're in here, if you're smart, you should worry, how much am I gonna get? The guy with 2 thumbs, how much am I gonna get, right? As you look in the mirror, who the person in the mirror, how much are they gonna get, right? And do not worry about how much they're gonna get. Because so many times I see people get wrapped up in what you're getting, and they don't even think about what they are getting themselves, right? You see it with sellers all the time. That buyer's ripping me off. Oh, yeah, don't worry about what they're doing. Are you getting enough to sell this thing? And if you are, who cares what they're doing, right? That guy's, he's being greedy. Well, maybe, maybe not. Are you getting what you want? So with regards to the splits, and when you're on a team, gonna be on a team or a started team, make sure whatever it is that you're getting is enough. And focus on what you are getting and not what they are getting. And you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You'll be happy as can be. And it's not bad for your broker or your team leader to make money. Right? Mike Ferry has said that for years. We got all these 90-10 splits or 100% split or whatever. 100%, how are your broker gonna be in business, right? Now here's the thing. If your team is not giving you anything, if you're not getting good admin, if you're not getting any help here, if you're not getting coaching, you're not getting all that stuff, I'm gonna pay them a dime. Quit and go somewhere else, right? But, so it's like shoes. If it's the right fit, they'll be comfortable and you'll be fine. The wrong fit, it hurts, right? So, and sometimes you gotta get a couple pairs of shoes. Sometimes you gotta go through a few blisters and then they'll fit fine. But, so, does that answer it?
Yeah, very good.
All right.
Other questions? Gail?
If you could go back and change something when you started your team and do it differently, what would it be?
Different haircut.
Yeah. Would you part it out?
I don't think I would change anything. I mean, if I could go back knowing what I know now, I'd probably change a lot, right? Because you see the problems. But, you know, it's the whole journey thing. You gotta learn it. You gotta go through it. It reminds me, I was listening to this guy talk, and he's talking about millennials, and I don't know, anybody here a millennial? All right, there you go, a millennial, right? Here's the thing they're saying about millennials, right? He's saying that they're a little bit cocky, because they'll come in, they'll say, well, do you know how to do this? Yeah, I've watched it 4 times on YouTube. Cool, I guess intellectually you know how to do it or whatever, but until you do it, you don't, right? So I could watch a video, I could go to RCLAM or whatever the hell that class is, and how to recruit select, right? You take that 600 times, and intellectually get it, I got it. But then you gotta hire the person who's like, oh, this isn't going the same way it did in that class in Baton Rouge, what the hell's going on, right? Sometimes you gotta do it, right?
Yeah.
And then sometimes you do it and you think you gotta figure it out, and the next person comes up, it's completely different. Like, whoa, what the hell happened here, right? So sometimes you gotta do it. You gotta go through the exercise. So no, I don't think I'd change anything other than the fact if I knew, if I could go back with what I know, right? I would change it, of course, but I wouldn't change the way I did it in any way.
Heather?
It's a little less of a question, more of a statement, because from the outside looking in, watching teams, star and teams that have been here and gone, and I know it's safe to say that being a team leader is more of a you process. It's not a I, me, my. And I think that we talk about personalities and what it takes, and I think that stuff is legit. Like, you gotta be DI personality. I believe that. But I also think that you have a heart to see other people succeed way more than yourself. And when it comes to a team success, I believe that looking for a team leader, that has to be one of the number one qualities. And I've seen that in your, I mean, just being a part of this family for 2 years. And I believe that it's hard to say about yourself, so I'm gonna say that to you on record, because it's super important. I get asked all the time, should I start a team? And you're one of the first people that I think of when it comes to that, because I believe your heart is in it for the right reasons, and that's why you're succeeding.
Typically speaking, I would agree with that, right? Because you got to. I'll be perfectly honest with you guys. For each team member on my team, I'm looking for at least $50,000 income to me, right? So for me to get 50 grand, they got to make a lot for themselves, right? And that's why I want to start hiring people, right? You understand, when I start adding 5, 6, 7 people, because it makes me a lot of money, right? But I'm at, what, Skinner, 1, 2, 3, I got 4. 3, really. 3 people going, right? But I had to go back and recalibrate the admin, do all that stuff, and keep these guys feeding their families and all that, right? But, let's talk about this for a minute. I'm glad, a good point. Teams, a lot of people come on teams for the leads. Give me the leads, I want the leads. To that I say, crap, right? Nobody gets any, well, I shouldn't say nobody, rarely do any leads go out on our team. Rare. Our guys don't get leads, all right? Unless something falls from the sky, oh, right? Like those apple ale things hit you in the head. Oh, hey, here you go. But we're not actively saying, you come on our team, I'm gonna give you this many leads and you're gonna do whatever. No. My job, when I hire somebody, my job is to teach them how to go out and get as many listings as they can get, negotiate as many deals as they can get, and collect as much money as they can get. The more they make, the more I make, right? So there are no leads. I mean, again, once in a while. We're teaching them, teach them to fish and they can eat forever, or whatever that
Right,
thing is.
right.
The same thing. I hear these stupid leads. Oh, yeah, come on our team, I'll give you leads. Anybody here get leads? Market leader leads, or any leads for that matter? I mean, they're out there, you see them come through the KW
Rarely.
system, right? They're so, Lori, you went through leads after leads, right? You get 20,000 leads and the one guy may work out on an $80,000 short sale. I mean, yes, they do work once in a while, right? But for the most part, don't go on a team if they're telling you, unless, I take that back. My wife, Chris, could never be on a team, she said, if they didn't give her leads. Because she can't and won't. Not that she can't, everybody can, but she won't, right? Like, I could do the paperwork, right? I got hands and eyes and everybody, no, I'm not paperwork, you're crazy. So, unless you want that, but you're not gonna, then you're at the whim, right? You're at the whim of people giving out leads, and you're a little chick up there, and feed me. Bad place to be. Bad place to be. Get your own leads, right? Get your own darn leads.
John, do you follow would you say you follow the MREA system of, you're talking about hiring admin first and then other people on your team?
Yes.
Did you, I mean, I felt like I tried it differently and thought I could work around it, and then realized, no, the MREA is the way to go.
Pretty much, right?
Yeah.
This is interesting, because I get it all the time. And I go through it all the time, right? I remember when I first started, and you have the scripts, right? The Mike Ferry scripts and the Gary Keller scripts and the Buffini scripts and all the scripts. They're basically the same thing. Maybe a comma separates them a little bit. Same thing, right? I'm talking and saying, but then you want to put your own little, your own little personality into it or whatever. Don't do it, right? And I've talked to my coach. I'm like, yeah, that script doesn't really work for me. He said, all right, time out here. How many houses have you sold? And I'm like, 3, right? Okay, so 3, good for you. These scripts are built from folks that have sold thousands and thousands of houses. So you with your 3 knowledge, tell us a little bit about what we should change, right? And it's the
And
same
why
thing.
this doesn't work.
I've had a team for 7 years, right? And it didn't start the size it is now, and not like it's huge, but it started with 1 person. It hasn't, you know? So I'll give you all my 7-person knowledge team against MREA book, which is hundreds of thousands of hours of research and everything. I'll tell them where they're wrong. Well, who am I? Now, the one thing I would say about MREA, it's built for Des Moines, Iowa, all right? Gary Keller's built for Des Moines, Iowa. Market leaders, Des Moines, Iowa, or Peoria. If he'll play in Peoria, he'll play everywhere. No, we're a different world, right? We're Vegas. We're at the beach. We're the Hamptons. We're Vail. We're,
Laguna.
you know, when I say
Yeah.
we, I'm talking about the Destin, South Walton,
Market.
30A market, all right? Niceville, Fort Walton's a little bit different.
You're talking resort.
Resort market. It's a different game, right? People, I saw a lot of people who have never been in their condo. Can you fill out the disclosure? No. I don't even know what color the carpet is, right? I've never been there, right? Okay, well, cool, I guess, right? And so it's a different than, you know, Joe and Mary Blow are selling and they're moving over to Maple Street because they got a bigger house. Different game. But that's what Gary's set up for, right? And that's what MREA does. But the basics are, yes, get an admin because everything rolls through the admin, right? Or it doesn't roll at all. Get a good admin. And then get good at what you don't like. If it's buyer agents, because everybody says, I'm going to hire a buyer agent, I'm going to hire a buyer agent, which I'd say, hire listing agents, right?
Because,
Well, I was talking to my coach about this yesterday, of all things. The amount of restrictions, regulations, liability, et cetera, and so forth on buyer agents is huge relative to a listing agent, right? For example, let's see if I can call it an example. You're the buyer's agent. You get them to sign a buyer agent agreement, which everybody should be doing and probably don't, but you get them to sign a buyer agent agreement, right? But what that says is I'm going to be your agent, right? Fiduciary responsibility, all that crap that goes with it, right? So when they ask you, do you get pets? Can we have pets here? Yeah, you can have pets. Cool, right? And then they move in and find out they can't have a Great Dane. But the Great Dane's been in the family for years, right? And they're not getting rid of the Great Dane. So they're going to go to a lawyer. The lawyer's going to call up around, you know what, who's got, oh, the realtor, they got money. Let's go after them. Realtor, did you disclose to them in writing that you, right, cannot have dogs or pets? Oh, yeah, you can have pets. Really? How about Great Danes? I didn't know they had a Great Dane. Really? Did you, they show you the picture? You know, there's all kinds of stuff. Like for 2 years, there's years involved where you can get sued for doing that, right? Or fences, right?
oh, fences.
Or
yes.
swimming pools, or you sell a house with a pretty wooded area behind it that turns into an apartment complex. You didn't tell me about the apartment complex. I didn't know. You're a licensed realtor representing me as my agent. How did you not know? Right? On my I can find your emails and see that the city sent out approval. There's a sign out there you drive by every day saying zone for whatever, a team meeting or whatever. You got to know. But from a listing side, once they sell it, it's gone. You're basically off the hook. So keep that in mind. Am I right on this or am I wrong?
For the most part, you're right.
My coach is an attorney, so he's pretty well aware of
You can
that.
still get good sued as a listing agent.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
guess.
There's no question, there's no question. But your defenses are stronger and better, and you need fewer of them. So it's hard, you open yourself up quite a bit as a buyer's agent. But buyer's agents are vital and
So
necessary.
do you refer buyers out? Because it sounds like you're even going more to more listing agents.
Yes, yes.
So you refer out to other teams or other?
No, because there are people that like working with buyers, crazy as that may seem. So yeah, let them do what they love. But no, the money, if you own the inventory, done, right? Everybody, there's 3,000 people, you said? If I list something today, I got 2,999 buyer agents as far as I'm concerned, right?
Right.
I'm not, So it's a better way to go, but they're vital. And perhaps it's a quicker run to money? Is that the thinking on buyer agents? Buyer might show up tomorrow and you sell them a property? Is that the thinking?
Hard to know.
There's, the thinking, I don't know, is there's more buyers than sellers. So and it's easier to work with them because it's not as much pressure as a seller asking you, why haven't you sold my house?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if I'll buy that, but maybe.
Yeah, that's what the agents are afraid,
Yeah.
fearful of in the beginning.
How are y'all not calling the same neighborhoods and all that when you're all in there calling every day?
What a great question,
You
and
just
one
come
we
up
just
with a
battle with
system.
all the time, right? Because, and
Because
it's.
I've talked to some
Yeah.
Yeah,
listings
that
that are
is a
saying, oh, these Keller Williams agents were calling.
Yeah.
Oh, and this darn bold coming up next week.
Yeah.
But,
Somebody gives you an earful when you're the fifth caller.
right,
Williams agents called this morning.
you're right.
Well, I'm glad.
Yeah, right? You know what I say? Did you list with them? No, well, let me ask you something real quick, just so I'm clear on your goals, right? But that's a great question, and one that's probably gonna become more and more of an issue for me. Because it's easy, Skinner, you're over in Panama City, easy peasy, right? And it's a big place, right? So, but we divide it up. But what's gonna happen, and I see it coming like a freight train, is I'm gonna have to add more people, right? And when you have this big farm, right, a lot of space, oh, look at that, there might be a seller out there, right? But what happens when I add more people in, right? And all of a sudden your farm just got cut in
Farm
half,
shrinks.
and quarters and whatever. However, but the goal is to make sure the people on the team are making what they need to make, right? For themselves. As long as that's more than enough to feed what I need, right? Then we don't do that. But it's gonna become a significant issue. I see
But
it
y'all
coming.
say, okay, I'm taking this condo complex, or I'm taking this neighborhood, so
I'm
that
res-
everybody on your team knows.
Yep. Courtney calls on Waterscape, all right? Guy says, you know what, I don't wanna sell Waterscape, but I'm gonna sell my aerial dunes.
Because you have area.
Yep.
Okay.
So
Because
I
you
take the
divvy
listing of
it
aerial
up.
dunes.
Yeah,
She's out.
Okay.
right.
Sucks for her. Except I'm calling the guy at aerial dunes that says, you know what, I wanna sell my Waterscape.
Right.
It evens out over
Yeah.
the
It
course
works
of time,
out.
Gotcha.
right? That's being on a team.
Okay.
I don't wanna give that up, right? Right? The $2 million person calls up and says, hey, I'm ready to go buy a place.
Right.
Gotta give it over. You got to, right? Because if you don't have that honesty and trust, you got nothing. So,
I thank you so much. Hasn't he done a great job? Oh, thank you, John. It was fun.
Okay, yeah, thank you, it's awesome, good job, both of you.